I used him, but it was too late. Stevie J struck play, and Bambi's jail call began to reverberate throughout the courtroom. Her words hit me like bullets, and Lil Scrappy got up, his face red, his breathing heavy. She had lied to me in my home. For years. What the hell just happened? Why would Stevie J reveal Bambi's jail calls during a court hearing? What is he hiding? Why is Lil Scrappy acting as though he has just discovered that his entire marriage was a trap? This isn't love. The courtroom exploded as the judge slammed the gavel and Mama D screamed. Cameras were rolling and hip-hop scene. This is a real-life betrayal that is laced with secrets of retaliation and a courtroom that has been transformed into a battlefield. These leaked calls are proof that Bambi's game went much deeper, and Stevie J just turned the tables. You're not prepared for what you're going to hear, but once you do, the judge paused. Lil Scrappy's eyes darted. Mama D clutched her pearls like she saw a ghost, and then it happened. A tiny flash drive. Stevie J's voice echoed across the courtroom like a villain straight out of a Bet movie. Your Honor, I have new evidence. When the courtroom system was connected, the speaker said, "Hey, I know what I said. Was never in love with him. I did what I had to do." Bambi Crystal then made a jail phone call, and the entire courtroom realized that this was no longer a divorce case, but rather a betrayal trial. Let's go back in time. Lil Scrappy and Bambi were going through what fans believed was just another messy VH1 breakup a few months ago. Some people unfollowed him on Instagram, and there were some dubious memes. However, nobody anticipated that Stevie J would pull out the ultimate receipt in front of a live judge. Why did he even have those? Jail Lil Scrappy was the last to discover that he had been utilized as a background extra in a show he used to star in. Let's discuss the timeline. Bambi had been in legal heat. Why was he so willing to disclose the calls publicly in the first place? This wasn't simply a beef. It was a planned takedown. She played it cool on social media, posting Bible quotes and soft-launching her peace journey. But in the meantime, the streets were talking. And, more crucially, so were the jails. Yep, Bambi was booked after months of being accused of fraud, bogus enterprises, identity scams, and more. The question is who she spoke to as soon as she entered prison, according to an anonymous courtroom source. However, we do know that Stevie J, her longtime friend, ex-situational partner, and low-key chaos magnet, managed to obtain private recordings of Bambi's phone conversations from prison. Not just when imagine your little Scrappy is already upset and ashamed. And now the entire courtroom has just heard your wife claim that she manipulated you to gain influence and airtime. In one recording, she declared bluntly, "Scrappy weak. He was never supposed to make it past season 3. I told you all that after everything." The judge was banging that gavel like he was trying to break the table, and the courtroom deputies had to step in. Mama D stood up like it was Sunday service. What did Scrappy do? He snapped right there in front of the judge. "That's what you really think of me." It turns out that Stevie J had a timeline and presentation receipts printed in color. This wasn't just a bitter ex move. It was a full-on expose, and Bambi was in the spotlight. In another clip, Bambi states, "If I had to fake it with Scrappy to get anything, I'm a survivor. So, excuse me." Stevie paused the video. "Your Honor," which was 2 weeks prior to her alimony demand, the chamber became silent once more. Let's take a moment to zoom out because this wasn't just a courtroom drama. It was a reality TV breakdown that was leaking into real life, and people were consuming it. With Twitter on fire and hashtags like "Free Scrappy Bambi Exposed" and "Stevie Got the Tapes." People were posting snippets of the court audio as if it were the new Kanye album. However, no one anticipated the true reason why Stevie J leaked. If the accusations are accurate, Bambi was playing both sides by texting Scrappy sweet nothings while slinking off behind the scenes with Stevie J. Don't believe it. Just wait. And suddenly, that courtroom drama evolved into a betrayal. That's why those calls weren't just about Scrappy. They were about revenge. Nobody was prepared for the saga. The judge attempted to issue an order, but Stevie J wasn't done. He turned to face Scrappy and then Bambi, asking, "You believe I'm the bad guy?" "No, sweetheart, you penned the entire story." And then he revealed the last surprise. You could hear it in her voice when they recorded a late-night contact between Bambi and someone identified as Z. This wasn't fear. Rather, it was a tactic. For Scrappy, twofold. He was emotional, and as long as Mama D didn't get involved, we were okay. However, guess who was already engaged? Mama D was sitting in the She took out her phone and took a selfie in the courtroom, her face frozen as if she were listening to her own funeral. The caption read, "Been quiet too long. It's time to drag some demons to the light. Receipts ready." Within 20 minutes, her direct messages were inundated with former aides, hairstylists, and others. Everyone had something to say about Bambi, including former Love and Hip Hop castmates who began sending anonymous voice notes and texts. One anonymous message claimed she'd been messing with Stevie since 2022. Scrappy found out once but stayed for the cameras. Another told people that she only married Scrappy to promote her skincare line, which she called brand alignment. It's ridiculous that fans were now watching history unfold in real time on Instagram Live, not just in the courtroom. Even Safari commented on his story. "Damn, I thought my drama was crazy." By this point, you're all different. The internet had proclaimed Bambi the queen of manipulation, Mama D the courtroom bishop, and Stevie J the unofficial prosecutor. But this is where things went haywire. Naturally, TMZ's phony article received a leaked folder from the courthouse archive, which contained a picture of timestamped 2 days before her jail arrest. The photo of Stevie J and Bambi together appeared to be taken in a hotel elevator. The caption said, "The night before it all broke apart," now raised questions. Was Stevie aiding Bambi or setting her up? Because, let's be honest, this dude stepped into court with, he arrived prepared. 2, with a flash drive that might end lives, a color-coded presentation, and edited and time-stamped audio clips. According to our fictitious courtroom source, Stevie didn't stop there, filing a new defamation claim against Bambi last month. The reason for this is that Bambi allegedly tried to blame him for her fraud cases. She told people that Stevie helped her navigate the fraudulent LLC game and that he introduced her to Crypto Dave, who assisted her in transferring funds through shell companies Wild Ride. However, the worst part is that the same Crypto Dave turned whistleblower. And you know who he testified to the IRS and FBI? Based on fictitious documents that were released by an unknown court clerk. VH1's internal HR staff claims that producers were aware that something fishy was happening, but they chose to encourage it instead of stopping it. RATINGs keep the drama going. A phony email claimed, "It's our biggest season yet." Meanwhile, Scrappy was falling apart. He appeared in court the following day without a wedding ring and wearing hoodies. He didn't talk to anyone, not even sitting close to his own mother. That morning, Bambi's attorney, the judge, wasn't buying it. Your client chooses her words. The truth isn't always pretty. When Lil Scrappy finally spoke in court, he stood up. They asked for an emergency hearing because they wanted to leak jail. Calls to be dismissed on the grounds of emotional exploitation and tampered evidence. "I woke up and saw Bambi's voice trembling. You destroyed everything, including my name, family, and peace. I let you in, and you turned me into a meme." The courtroom was silent, and Bambi just wiped a tear, fake or real, without saying anything. Stevie leaned back in his chair with his arms folded, appearing to have dropped a platinum coin. The biggest twist yet occurred when the judge permitted one more audio file. Stevie played a voicemail that Bambi had left for someone named V after, "This divorce is finalized, I'll be free. Scrappy still has money coming in. I just need to wait until the next season comes out." The judge paused, then said, "Who is V? No one responded, but Twitter made assumptions. Some speculated that V was a VH1 executive, while others suggested It was another cast member, possibly even Erica. In any case, it added another level of betrayal to the courtroom drama, which now involved strategy, manipulation, and cold-blooded, calculated moves. As events unfolded, Scrappy's legal team released a press statement on phony TMZ. "We will seek full custody, asset protection, and emotional damages for our client, who has suffered years of emotional, financial, and public abuse." Bambi's team retaliated hours later. Fans weren't buying it when a viral tweet stated, "She went from ride or die to Bonnie with no Clyde. The whole time Stevie was the plug." By this point, the phony court cam film had been published online. Gaslighting, emotional neglect, and humiliation. Any recordings leaked without consent are under legal review. You know what's crazy? Stevie is out here playing chess while Scrappy is playing Uno without the draw for savage. There are 10 million clips of Scrappy's breakdown, Mama D's courtroom speech, and Stevie J's smirk as the audio played. Charlemagne Thaw God even did a whole fake segment on it. And it wasn't over yet. Scrappy's team filed a new subpoena requesting access to all of Bambi's financial records for the previous 2 years. This was because if she was actually using him to transfer funds to her fictitious company, that wasn't just betrayal. It was illegal. The judge granted it, and guess what? Scrappy's legal team now had the go-ahead to investigate everything, including the phony skincare company, real estate frauds, and even Bambi's Soul fans' income, which, according to one fictitious Reddit thread, had been purposefully underreported. However, as the courtroom got ready for the upcoming hearing, the internet was revealing something even more in-depth. Bambi implied that allegiance was seasonal in earlier footage, programs, and interviews. Now, fans were sharing side-by-side photos, examining facial expressions, and studying each quote. This was no longer a scandal, but rather a televised autopsy of a phony marriage based on actual "don't get comfortable." The courthouse was silent the following morning, but it wasn't serenity. Rather, it was the kind of silence you feel before. And when the doors of the courtroom closed for the day, Scrappy left in silence. There were no words or smiles, only treachery lingering in the air like perfume. Lil Scrappy arrived in a black SUV after an earthquake struck. This time, he had no entourage or shades, and his face was chilly and exhausted. He strolled straight past the photographers without even flinching when someone cried, "Scrappy, is Bambi going to jail?" It wasn't just the typical crowd in the courtroom. The judge opened with a firm tone, saying, "We're proceeding with newly entered evidence from federal investigators in conjunction with state court materials." 3 new faces were now seated behind the prosecution bench. Feds. 2 men in dark suits and a woman wearing glasses and holding a thick binder. Translation: when the case went to the federal level, they first presented bank accounts. Not only of Bambi, but also of a joint business account in her and Scrappy's names connected to a phony wellness company named Glow Mommy Inc. Guess who deposited money into it every month? Stevie J profited over $80,000 in just 6 months. When the chart appeared on the screen, the courtroom gasped. It was unquestionably Bambi, Stevie, and an anonymous shell corporation, all transferring money like Monopoly. Mama D couldn't keep quiet and got up in the middle of the hearing, clapping sarcastically. "Damn, you guys were operating reality shows and scams at the same time?" The judge slammed the gavel order in court, but it was too late. The situation had changed from a messy divorce to fraud, conspiracy, racketeering charges that were pending unsealing. As an added bonus, they had a video taken from a phony Bambi informant in a backroom studio. VH1 paid for the show. Scrappy paid for the lifestyle. "And I just fine-tuned the math," Stevie J said, grinning as he counted stacks of cash. The courtroom erupted in shock as Scrappy leaned forward, his hands clutching the table as if the floor had fallen beneath him. While Bambi buried her face in her hands, her lawyer leaned in and whispered something, and her head slowly nodded. "Then, Your Honor," her lawyer said, He was whispering something under his breath that no microphone could pick up, but his eyes were fixed on Stevie like fire, and Stevie didn't blink. The judge leaned closer to hear what her lawyer stood for. My client would like to change her plea. The chamber froze as Bambi, who had denied everything up until that point, changed her narrative. Scrappy's mouth dropped when the court added, "In exchange for leniency and full cooperation with federal investigators," that same afternoon, detectives discovered that Bambi was flipping, snitching, turning on Stevie, turning on Crypto Dave, and even turning on the VH1 producers who had assisted her in covering it all up. She was willing to burn down the entire empire to save herself, and she wasn't wasting time. 5 folders containing screenshots, transaction logs, and email threads between her and several unidentified individuals, including producers, fictitious lawyers, and Stevie himself, were sent to her. One of the emails had the subject line, "If this gets out, we're all effed." Additionally, as soon as she left court, the late Mama D went live on Instagram, shouting into the phone, "I told y'all that here was no good, and Stevie didn't force me to release the voicemail. I got clips for days." The live video received 75,000 views in less than 10 minutes, and fan modifications appeared on TikTok. By this point, VH1 had issued a statement that was completely phony, of course. "We are carrying out an internal assessment of previous episodes and staff conduct. At this point, all cast members involved are suspended from future. A leaked warrant revealed that federal officials were confiscating assets linked to the fictitious business accounts, including Bambi's Atlanta condo, a Range Rover registered in Stevie J's name, and jewelry purchased using Scrappy's joint credit line." Translation: the program was on life support when the last blow struck, and $120,000 in a cryptocurrency wallet located in Dubai that was reported for fraud. But the worst part is that, according to an anonymous source, Bambi was also being investigated for witness tampering. Seems that she attempted to pay a former friend $5,000 and a high-end wig to stay offline, took the money, and posted the receipts. Now, Bambi was accused of 3 felonies: fraud, money laundering, and tampering with a federal witness. Meanwhile, Stevie J was listed as a person of interest, as was Scrappy, but he had not yet been charged. He filed an emergency. Fans on social media were going crazy over a TikTok that went viral. "This ain't love and hip-hop no more. This is love and federal time." Another tweet that Bambi had was Scrappy. Its legal team pushed to have Bambi's parental rights suspended pending the outcome of her case. Jail calls aren't enough. Drop the Netflix doc. Even celebrities couldn't keep quiet. K. Michelle posted a mysterious Instagram story that read, "Tables turn, chairs flip. Keep the cameras rolling." Ray J left a phony comment beneath a viral post that asked, "Is reality TV getting too real, and why?" The judge said, "Ms. Bambi, do you understand the consequences of your plea and agreement to cooperate?" Her voice was hardly audible above a whisper. "Yes, Your Honor," and the courthouse doors abruptly closed. All of this was taking place in public within the courtroom. Mama D was holding court on Instagram Live, giving testimony like a preacher at a revival. And Stevie J was seen leaving the courthouse with a duffel bag and a smirk as the fire was just getting started. Scrappy's team issued one last press release, which was obviously a fake. As the sun set on that courtroom, one thing became evident. The client is focused on healing his children and recovering his life from the lies that nearly broke him. He was named the Devil's Soundtrack on Twitter and crowned Survivor of the Year by Bambi and Stevie. Well, wasn't just a scandal. This was a reality reckoning. There was no script, no edits, no VH1 R-ups, just plain unvarnished treachery presented to a judge, jury, and the world. However, before the last gavel could even be delivered, a final headline was released by TMZ. Federal agents issued a warrant for VH1 exec tied to, "What do you think of all this chaos?" Was Bambi the mastermind behind the entire fraud? Or was Stevie? Jay, the true puppet master pulling the strings behind the scenes. Is Bambi's case the end of love and hip-hop? Yes, this is history and not reality TV anymore. If you're shocked by these revelations, hit the like button like your life depends on it. I want to hear every theory, hot takeaway, and crazy conspiracy you have in the works. That leaves Lil Scrappy an innocent victim or just another player caught in this twisted game. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you can be the first to see every exciting update as it comes out, because this story is far from over. You don't want to miss what's happening, I promise. Next on, this drama is only getting hotter. Up, and you are aware that we will bring you every call that was leaked, every confidential meeting, and each courtroom battle as it unfolds. Until then, keep an eye out. Doubtful, and never forget, in reality TV, the truth is frequently messier and wilder than fiction.